Okay, awesome. Well, guys, this is John Jennings, and I am calling to you this morning from Memphis, Tennessee. This is the One Team, One Dream focus call. We're so glad you could be on here with us this morning. And, this is a call that we put together, again, for everybody, the entire team. Team Visalus. It's not my team, your team, their team, her team, whatever. This is for everybody. And, one of the things I really like that we try to do in this call is it's a training-only call. There's no fluff. There's no rah-rah. There's no recognition. This is strictly down in the dirt training to help you make more money right now, this week, immediately. And, I really love that. And the other thing I think that sort of differentiates this call from other calls is we always try to cover topics that are not covered elsewhere. These are trainings typically that you're just not going to hear, or maybe not with the same level of clarification anywhere else. And so if you will take notes, guys, and if you've not done so already, please take out your paper and pen, because this is a call that, you're going to want to take notes on, because we're going to cover something today that may be a little bit higher level than what you're used to, but it's a call that will absolutely take your business to an entirely different level. And, I think this call sort of came from, and the topic came from Kerry and Stoney Wright. Stoney shot me a text message this week. He said, John, there's something that I think everybody needs to hear about that no one really understands truly, and that's the waiting room. This whole waiting room thing is so powerful, and I just don't think people understand it. And you know what? Stoney is exactly right, and I'm so glad he brought that up, because it is one of the single most powerful things of your entire business, and really very, very few people understand it. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to kick this thing off, and I'm going to bring on Kerry Wright. Kerry is somebody who, she's had amazing success in this industry. She was actually the #1 top income earner with another company, and now she resigned from that company to come here to promote the Body by 90-Day Challenge. So it's a real blessing to have her on this team. And, she's already hit 1-star ambassador in a very, very short amount of time. And her leadership with her team, it's just a beautiful thing to see. What an amazing networker and friend and, business builder that she is, and trainer. So, guys, it's a real blessing to have her on the One Team, One Dream focus call this morning. So, Kerry Wright, I hope you're there with me. Talk to us about the waiting room and how you view it and how it can help other people put more money in their back pocket faster, immediately starting this week. Kerry, over to you.
Hey, thanks, John. Thanks for that introduction. And good morning, everybody. This is probably one of the things that takes, like John said, it's a little advanced. So if you're brand new, you may not understand everything fully. But what the first and foremost thing is about waiting rooms is you've got to have one. And to have one means you've got to be bringing on personal promoters. If you're familiar at least with the basic concept of the compensation plan with the Body by Challenge, is that, it's three people, you're a rising star, and then you're helping them get their 3. So we're just building in 3s. So your first step in being able to utilize a waiting room is having 4. So you need that one extra person in your waiting room. And typically we want to see that one extra person, monthly. Maybe your goal is to have 3 people in your waiting room monthly. So that means you're bringing on 3 personals every single month. So whatever your goal is, that's the very first step, is having somebody in your waiting room. So that means you're enrolling. The other thing that we've kind of seen with our own team, and kind of, again, this is not something, one of the, pieces that's, there's not a training completely on with our back office, which is full of training videos and different things there, is that somebody's in your waiting room for 60 days. So if you brought somebody in on the 7th of the month, they're in your waiting room for 60 days, which means you get to work on building up some volume. You may be familiar with the word contest. We run contests at the end of the month. We'll kind of get into that just a touch at the end of this little segment. But what we don't get is any type of notification that that person is expiring out of your waiting room. And if you're just out there, going and blowing and tearing up your business, what tends to happen is we miss out on that 60th day on placing that person. Or possibly, I know there's been a training in the past about running a contest even in the middle of the month with that person that's in your waiting room. So my tip is for each of you on the phone, as you are bringing on a new promoter, you've got to find a system, whether it's on your a physical, paper calendar, your computer, set it to your phone, an alarm that counts out about maybe even the 50th day. Would you agree, John? So that they can possibly run a contest with that person or, place that person if there's nothing that's transpired, if there's no contest to be run within that 60th day. And sometimes it happens right at midnight. The thing to know is it's 60 days. If there's 31 days in the month, you need to count it out. So as you're, again, bringing on those personals, write it in that calendar. Okay, I need to take a look at my waiting room, see where this person's at with volume, see if I could potentially run a contest with my other 3 promoters who are on my team, and then get them placed before that 60th day. The other tip that I will tell you, too, and one of the things that we really abided by when we got started with our business last summer, and this was just taken straight from Nick's article, his mouth, was that we did not touch our waiting room. We sponsored promoters our first, 45 days or so, brought on personals. They were bringing on personals, and Stoney and I did not touch our personal promoters that we had put into our waiting room. We waited and we counseled with our upline, and we took their guidance on what would be best as far as running contests, as far as placement, as far as, where people should be placed. So that is really, it's key to your business is, again, letting somebody stay there, letting them reach that level of rising star. There could potentially be somebody who reaches the level of regional director who's still in your waiting room that you could then, again, run contests with at the end of their 60 days to place somewhere on your team and catapult somebody else's business that is, again, deserving of that. Maybe you run a contest with a group of people and they're going to be earning, because of their efforts, that person that's in your waiting room. So definitely, if you're somebody new on this call, this training call, look to your working upline. You may need to make a couple of calls. Look to an upline regional, national, presidential, or your ambassador director to get some guidance on how you utilize your waiting room for contests. So a couple last little tips again, and I've got on my notes, again, it takes 4 or more people. You can't run a contest if there's not somebody there to run a contest with. So bring on those 3, get them in your waiting room. Doesn't mean that those are going to be the 3 that align up completely to be your top 3 on your sponsor tree. When you start running contests, that waiting room, you have time to kind of see who's going to go where. And it really creates excitement. It creates volume. It creates competition, healthy competition within your team to see how everything's going to kind of play out towards the end of that, your 30 days or 60 days. Last thing is, again, fill that waiting room. don't stop with your first 3. You've got to continue if you're going to be a business builder and do this thing for the long haul and, commit to your why is bring on your personals. A lot of times people think, well, I have to work with the people, the 3 that I've brought on, and I can't go bring on any more personals. But that's not the case. You are responsible for your business, so to speak, and you're going to help your team. You're helping your team get to Rising Star. But the best way you can also help your team is by you, for one, leading by example and bringing on personals. 2, creating, again, something that you can use to run contests with your original 3 that you brought on. So never stop with 3 and think that that's it. You're set. Very rarely do we see that happen and that a business just takes off from those original 3. It kind of, maybe it's that 4th, 5th, 7th personal that you bring in that really kind of sets your business on fire, that really takes off and helps you achieve those ranks throughout your organization with your team. So those are a few things that I wanted to go over this morning. John, I don't know if anything I said, if you've got some things to add to that or expand on.
Carrie, I tell you, I think one of the beautiful things about this call is having multiple people on here to cover the same topic. And so you said a lot of things that brought some things in my mind, and I'm sure we also have Allison Blair on the call with us right now. And Allison is someone who she lives in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and she's a 2-star ambassador. If you've been on this call before, you've heard from Allison, but she is an absolute rock star. She works directly with Kyle Passetti. But you know what? She gets a lot of great stuff from Kyle. But also, I tell you what, guys, Allison and Jeff Blair come up with a lot of great techniques on their own that just blow me away. So, Allison, I know you're on the call with us right now. When it comes to the waiting room, Allison, what did maybe Carrie bring up that brought some things to your mind that can help people right now?
Well, Carrie, that was all awesome. That was great advice. I think the waiting room is very misunderstood, and people don't take it nearly as seriously as they should. I know that when we first looked at the compensation plan and when Kyle Passetti first drew it out for us, that was the biggest attraction for us was the waiting room and the fact that we had 60 days to decide, to be perfectly honest, guys, who was going to work the hardest and who deserved to be, as my friend Mandy Alexander would say, who deserved to be your generals and at the top of those teams. So I love this waiting room. It's a way for us to really help people, and I always like to say this compensation plan drives behavior, and this compensation plan is built and it's designed to really help people. It's kind of like a rope, and you take everybody and pull them up. So a couple of things that Carrie said that I really took away, first of all, is setting an alarm on your phone. I don't know why that didn't dawn on me, Carrie. That was excellent. I'm going to start doing that, and I'm going to start trying to. That's going to be number one topic, actually, on our team call tomorrow night. So I really appreciate that one. And the other thing, too, is that I want to bring up, guys, is it's actually 59. It's really 60 days, but the clock really strikes at midnight. So you want to program in, and maybe what Carrie said, a great, 50 days is a good idea, but just make sure that you don't wait until the 60th day, because I have so many people I have to send emails up, to try to get people moved because they wait to the 60th day and it's changed over at when the clock strikes midnight. So they really miss it. So just make sure that I would kind of get in your mind that it's 59 days. The other thing is that I think we should really try to look at, and I'm going to go into just a little bit more detail specifically how to look, if that's okay with you guys. If you're new, please don't get bogged down in this, like Carrie said. But one thing that, and I say this over and over again, as you guys are looking at your downline, and this may seem very elementary to some of you, but you should always go in your back office. You should always go in My Business. You should always go down to My Sponsor Tree, and you should always go over to the LVL button, Level, and click. It doesn't look like you can click on it, but you can. Click on that LVL and sort so that it comes up 0 and all your level 1s. Check those dates. Make sure that if you have somebody that is still in your waiting room, particularly if it's somebody that has RQV, and that is something that if somebody came in the business, let's say they came in December 15th, between December 15th and December 31st. You know, if they came in on the last day of December as a $4.99 ESS, right now they have rolling volume. They have, because it's the month of January, so that volume for December is rolling. In my personal opinion, that is somebody that needs to be in a contest right now, because that's rolling volume that somebody else could really benefit from. So if I always sort, you know, one thing that I always do too is make sure, to be perfectly honest, you know, I think that kind of the way we run contests and the way Kyle taught us to do it is we really run contests almost by the 45th day, because we don't want that rolling volume to expire. That's one thing you should really be looking at. You know, if you have somebody that has, you know, let's say they're at $8,000 in volume, but they have $3,000 or $4,000 in rolling volume, that's somebody that, you know what, or high water, in my opinion, they would have to be in their car by the end of this month. I mean, we have people right now that are at $4,000 in volume between now and Tuesday. They are going to be in that Beamer Club. So particularly, you know, just make sure you look at that RQV and make sure, you know, somebody that you've sponsored right now or after the 15th of this month doesn't necessarily have to be in a contest right now. You could wait until February to run that contest, but this is something that you really need to ask your upline for help for in the beginning. Like Carrie said, you know, Nick told them not to touch our waiting room. Kyle told us the same thing. I think I've kind of maybe intimidated our team a little bit with that, because they'll call me and go, is it okay if I look in my waiting room? And I'll say, yeah, you can look in there, just don't touch anything yet until we figure out what's best for you and what's best for your team. So just a couple of quick tips. You know, I would set your sights high on personal recruits. People do what people do. And Jeff and I are always, I'll tell you right now, my husband is definitely the better recruiter of the two of us. I think he might have a little bit more time to recruit than I do right now, but that is something that you should continually be doing, because your team does what you do as leaders. So you want to make sure that you're always still in that waiting room. So, John, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, you know what? I got a question, because first of all, I just want to go back just a little bit to make sure everybody understands, excuse me, that, you know, we're only building 3 teams. And if you bring that 4th person in, you don't want to create a 4th team. We're placing the 4th person down somewhere on one of the first 3 teams. Now, so make sure you understand that first and foremost. Now, with that being said, and I'm going to start with you, Carrie, and then I'm going to come to you, Allison, with just one question, because both of you guys have had experience in other companies, other compensation plans, other ways of building a business. Carrie, in your opinion, how is this waiting room different than other companies that you've been involved with? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it powerful? Is it less powerful? Compare this to what you've experienced in the industry. Over to you, Carrie.
Yeah, it definitely is something different that we've never experienced. But I will say that we have come to, you know, embrace it, so to speak, and we love it because it does drive behavior. It drives that excitement. You know, to be able to really, again, utilize the waiting room for contests and, you know, again, which we've never heard of, but again, reward those people who are out there in the trenches, who are really, you know, wanting to make their business take off. It's very different and very exciting. So, you know, it's a great thing, I think, when people finally understand the concept of it, and when they have people to work with, they embrace it fully, and it's been great.
Absolutely. Allison, now what about you? How do you feel about the waiting room compared to other companies?
You know better than get me started on this topic.
Loaded question, right?
You're going to have to time me on this one. Jeff's going to come down here in a second and point to his watch. I am so addicted to this compensation plan. It is the most wonderful compensation plan on the planet. I'll tell you right now, when I first sat down with Nick and Kyle and they first started drawing it out, one thing that I wanted to make sure is, you know, in compensation plans that I've been used to, and not only, we've only been involved in one other company in direct sales, but, you know, even as a pharmaceutical rep, I was a pharmaceutical rep for 11 years. So I'm very familiar with compensation plans. And I'll tell you what that I love the most. was the waiting room, and the fact that, I wanted to make sure, my husband and I both been in sales, Jeff was in medical sales. We felt very confident that we could make it in this business if we really worked hard, but we wanted to make sure that it was a business that everybody, sales background, not moms, teachers, whoever, that everybody had a fair shot in, and that we would always be incentivized to help other people. And, when I mentioned earlier, comp plans drive behavior, that's exactly what happens, is you're always, the first people that, we brought on were some of our friends, family members and friends. Our parents were in this business. You heard Carol Blair, Jeff's mom's an ambassador. My parents are national directors. Mandy Alexander, my best friends knocking on the door. I don't even want to name names here because we have so many people that we love and care about that are in our business. And, we always be able to go back and help them at no detriment to us. We can take people and place them down in depth, help people with volume. At the same time, it compensates us. So, that was very different than the other company that I was involved in the industry. We won't name names here. But it was you kind of, in essence, you left people and went and built, you were constantly building new team after new team after new team. And that's not what we do here. Like John said, there's only ever a need to build 3, and that's it. So, you want to make sure, if you're brand new to this call, you want to call your best prospects first. You want to call the people that you love and care about, but also people that are business-minded like you. You want them to get in place first so that you can really, help build underneath them. And, like I tell our team, your 3's it. I mean, Kyle Passetti's never built more than 3. Nick Cernicola's never built more than 3. We have only just begun. I mean, our team's only been in this about 9 months if they started from the very beginning with us. So Jeff and I have no intention to let up and quit sponsoring people ever, as long as we're in this business. So it's got to go somewhere. And, that is a beautiful thing about this compensation plan, is that you can always, help people as long as it's deserved. So, John, we'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you bring up a great point, and that is that, especially when we're talking about family and close friends, and guys, this is so important, what she just said. And I want to make sure you got this. With every other company, you are mentally going through in your mind, okay, I'm going to match this person with this person. These people are going to work great together. These people are going to work together. And when you sponsor more than 3, you would place them where you thought that it should go. And you wind up trying to help family, friends most. Now, what the waiting room does for us is it allows us to run a contest, and it's like Allison said, it's whoever earns your waiting room, not where you think it should go. Now, the power of that is that, let's say you brought in a 4th person. Rather than just placing them underneath your mother or your brother or your best friend, you're running a contest. Now, because you're running a contest, because we have a waiting room, you're going to get maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 8, maybe a dozen brand new people into the business because you had one person in your waiting room. Allison, have you ever experienced that before?
Absolutely. And, I should have clarified that a little bit. I'm laughing as you're talking right now because I can guarantee you my mom and dad, Jeff's mom, are laughing right now because if they know that if they won't place them, they have to win it in the contest just like everybody else. We were at that national leadership training. We were talking about contests and winning contests, and my dad was sitting there just laughing. He was like, well, I know if I'm going to win it, if I'm going to get placement, I got to win it. So I absolutely did not mean to say there's any favoritism because there certainly is not. But absolutely, John, that's how it works.
And you know what? But that's what drives behavior. You talked about, and Carrie talked about at the very beginning, about driving behavior. Guys, this is all psychology, and it's a positive impact on everybody's business, your ownership in your business, the pride in your business, and you know what? It just works better. And that's why we're going to be the first company to hit $1 billion in North America alone in the 120-plus year history of direct sales. And a large part of that is because of the waiting room and the contest that we run. So with that, guys, a couple of other things I want to mention, and that is one of the tools that I use personally on my computer, the calculator has a function where it will actually calculate the days for me. So I don't know if your computer has it. I use Windows 7. So Windows 7, the calculator, I can put in a start date and end date, and it will tell me, how many days that is. And so that's what I use to help me calculate, the beginning and ending time. And then I do put a reminder on my, set up an alarm to remind me when that 60th day is. So that's very, very important. And, the other thing that, and this is, again, probably a little bit more advanced, but, you guys know that this is something that you can do. Let's say that you've got someone in your waiting room who is a rock star. They've hit not just rising star, maybe they hit, regional director, okay? And you're running a contest. Well, let's say that, either nothing happens in the contest or, well, let's just say nothing really happens, okay? No one earns it. What do? Do you go ahead and place them anyway? Because if it's the 59th day, do you just place them? And the answer is no. Let's say you had a fifth person. So you have two people in your waiting room, and you just signed up one of those people, yesterday. You can take the person who's 59 days old and place them under the person who's 1 day old, and now you've got another 60 days, okay, to place that organization. So, guys, I'm not going to get into any more of that because we're running short on time, but that is so powerful. It can make a tremendous difference in your business. So, guys, we've covered a lot today, and I know that for me personally, I'm going to go back and listen to this recording and listen to it over and over and over again because there's some things I think Allison said about getting on, the reports, what to click on, what to look at. Okay, now, what did she say? What did she mean by that? Guys, if you can push stop and rewind and replay it again and again while you're on your computer in ViNet, it's going to make a whole lot more sense to you. So, as you listen to the recording of this call, listen to it over and over and over again to make sure that you understand what was covered. But that being said, guys, we always want to end this call with some specific details on exactly what you can do right now this week to make money. I mean, John, right now, what can I do? Okay? So, Allison, I'm going to turn this call back over to you to kind of give us some cleanup stuff over the next few days that everybody listening to this call can put money in their back pocket right now. Allison, over to you.
Okay, John. Well, we're getting to crunch time, guys, okay? Tuesday is the last day of the month, so we are in the final hours, and there are a lot of people out there right now that are running rank. Let's face it, this is the first month in the year, as John said, that this company is going to hit $1 billion in sales, never been done before in 2 countries in a 128-year-old industry. So this is a big, big, big month, and I think everybody should treat it as such. The first thing and first and foremost, you guys know this, is to make sure your calendars are full. I know it's Saturday morning. First of all, applaud you for being on this call. I've got meetings running all days. Very, very happy birthday to my girlfriend, Wendy Holbert. Many of y'all know Wendy. Bless her heart. It is a big birthday for her, and I won't go into too much detail about what number that is because she only looks like she's about 25. But needless to say, her day is full of challenge parties. So, in fact, she's got so many that I'm actually going to go do a couple for her. So no excuses from anybody. I know it's a weekend, but if she can go out and do it on her birthday, anybody can. So force your calendar for the people who need to hit rank, okay? So if you've got somebody that needs to hit regional director and you know they're getting close, say, okay, what can I do to help you? It's your job as part of the upline. We talked about last week how, honestly, you co-sign for somebody's success on your team as a leader. So you need to reach out and really call those people, say, okay, where are your parties? Do I need to close them out over the phone? Remember, every party that you're associated with is going to count for the Rise to 5-Star contest that's going on right now. You guys definitely want to make sure that you submit all the challenge parties that you've had anything to do with that began on January 16th through Tuesday at midnight, or the end of Tuesday, if that's 3 o'clock in the morning for you, whatever time that is, which I'm sure it will be for some of us. But make sure that, all those challenge parties are submitted to your upline so your ambassadors can turn those in. So the other thing, too, is the rising stars. Make sure that you have pulled that list. You go in My Business dashboard underneath the big check. They put all our reports, so they're very easy to find. They figure you'll click on the check, right? So look under your people who have not hit Rising Star. They may be they may be a regional director, or they may be a national director. Maybe they didn't do it quick enough in the very beginning. They didn't hit Rising Star. Make sure that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and that you don't let anybody that has not hit Rising Star Do not let anybody on your team miss that, if at all possible. So make sure you take advantage of that. The rolling volume, okay? So I talked about earlier, when you go in My Business and under my sponsor tree, sort by RQV. Click on the RQV button. It'll give you people that have the most rolling volume. Pay attention particularly to those people because those are the people, to be quite honest, they're going to be the easiest to run because they have rolling volume. It's a one-time thing in this company that you can come in after the 15th of the month and roll your volume over till the end of the following month. Can't tell you how many conversations I had. Jeff actually had one before I got on the phone today with a friend of ours. She's like, can I really get in my car by the end of next month? Absolutely. Absolutely you can, and that's our goal. So make sure that you sort by RQV. Those people, that are anywhere, I would say this site in the game, like I said, we have people at, $4,000 in volume that I think are absolutely going to get in their car. It's entirely possible to come in. We have a couple people on our team that have come in and done it in 2 days. So is it entirely possible to do it from now till Tuesday? You bet. Don't do things that waste you time, and this is a funny one for me because this was so me in the beginning. I'm so type A. It was the old drug rep in me. Unfortunately, I'm tired, so I'm trying to break those old habits. But make sure you don't do things that waste time. Don't print out anything extra. Literally, all we need to do right now to get somebody up and running is they need to go to a challenge party. They need to do a 15-minute GST, and you need to get on the phone with them. They need to start pre-partying and planning their next party ASAP. As soon as you can get it on the books, the quicker people come out of the gates, the more momentum they build, the better story they have, and the list kind of goes on and on what happens. So make sure you do that. And really, like I said, just really focus on the people that you can run and make sure that that's ultimately what I love most. And I didn't talk about this earlier, what I love most about this compensation plan. I remember, the month that we had Ambassador, the month that, Jeff's mom had Ambassador, David G. John's, different people, as they're running, it's so addictive to just watch, people that might not have thought that they were going to, hit Rising Star. They might not have thought they were going to hit regional or national or whatever the level was. You have to, as the upline, you have to drive the people on your team. Say, no, oh yes, you are. You have to have the belief, they've got to have the belief themselves, but you also have to have the belief and the strength to just pull it in and say, okay, we're going to pull this out no matter what. So make sure that you do that. That's your job as someone's upline. So I think that's the only thing else. The only other thing that I want to say, John, when you were talking about the contest, how if you had somebody in your waiting room that, it was 59th day and you would move it underneath that new person, you're a little bit nicer than I am maybe, but I would actually have that new person say, okay, I will move this person, but you have to have 2 people in your waiting room by midnight tonight. So you can also do that because everything in this business, like I said, has to be earned. And that's what's so great about it is that we can help people and reward those who work the hardest and those who really want to make a difference in their lives, because that's what this business is all about, guys, is changing lives. And that is the most addicting part of this business for me is, not really what rank we hit. At this point, anything else is gravy. But really to watch other people be able to do that and have success like that, there's no price tag on it. So, John, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Thank you so much, Allison. You absolutely hit that out of the ballpark, and that is the most addictive, fun blessing of this business is having so many people make so much money. And, guys, we really do appreciate you guys and glad you're on the call. And, if there's a topic that you want us to cover, hey, shoot me an email. We'll be happy to try to work that in later. Send me an email at john@johnjennings.com. And, again, Jennings is spelled with a G instead of a J, john@johnjennings.com. We're happy to cover that for you if we can. And so, anyway, guys, thank you so much to Carrie and to Allison and for you guys being on the call today. We pray God's richest blessings upon you and your family and a very prosperous 2012. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time. This call is officially over.